Okay, so the series premiere of the season 7 premiere of American Horror Story airs later on tonight. So I just thought before I put out my review of the pilot, the first episode of Cult, I would just compile a little ranking here of each of the seasons. And just so you know, don't attack me. For those of you who come across this video, I'm not expecting very many people to come across this. But for those of you who watch it, please don't attack me. This is just my opinion. Um, but I think that my opinion, at least on a few, is within the general consensus of the audience. So, number one may not surprise you, as most people I've talked to say that that is really their favorite season. Well, most people I've talked to anyway. I don't know. um, and I might have a few unpopular opinions as well. So, yeah. So, American Horror Story is a show that I've been watching for a long time. This show basically defines my teen years, to be honest. Um, I remember watching the show as it aired when I was 13 and Murder House was just premiering. And I do that in secret because my mom didn't want us watching that, but I watched it anyway. And yeah, I really enjoyed the show. Overall, I would consider myself a fan of the show, but just because I would consider myself a fan, there are some seasons that I wouldn't say I liked. I wouldn't say like I think a season is terrible. I think I can watch every single season just fine, but the show isn't perfect, and there are seasons that I would say I didn't like. Well, one season actually. Take in mind that when I'm doing this little countdown here, um, 5 of the 6 seasons I do like. So yeah, I think it's overall a very good show. So even though a season might be low on my list, like number 5 and up, I still like the season. So only number six, the bottom of the barrel, only my least favorable ranking I don't really like. So anyway, let's get on with a little ranking here. So in 6th place, Freak Show. Now, when Freak Show was coming out, I have to admit I was really really hyped for this season, and I was so disappointed by the premiere. But I anticipated this a little bit when I first saw the teasers and when the official trailer finally came out, like a few weeks before the premiere aired. I was like, oh no, oh no. I like my hopes were kind of gone at that point. Like, I knew this was probably not going to be an enjoyable season for me. Um, when the fake teaser was put out, I thought, oh my goodness, and I thought it was real at first. I was like, oh my goodness, this is gonna be a fantastic. This looks like it's gonna be a fantastic season, even though they didn't really show any clips from the show itself. I just thought the teaser was really. I just thought the fake teaser, the angel being controlled by the little thing in the back. I thought that was really well done and creepy. And when the first official teaser came out for the show, I was like, okay, that kind of looks artificial, a little too artificial for my taste. And it didn't really leave much to the imagination, or didn't really leave any impact of mystery or anything. But yeah, and then when the trailer, finally came out, um, I was, to say the least, not very happy with it, and I was hoping beyond hope that the season itself would surprise me. And the tone, I would say what kind of made me really unhappy with the trailer was the tone. It didn't really feel like they didn't really show that many scary things. Like, they didn't really get me excited. They show the story, but they didn't really show anything to get me really excited about it. And they kept on using the word freaks over and over again, and that kind of got on my nerves, to be honest. um, and then when the premiere started, I was kind of, it wasn't terrible. I didn't think it was terrible. I thought, okay, maybe this will get better as time goes on. But as the series went on, I just didn't keep up watching anymore. Like, I think after episode 6, I stopped watching it, and I didn't pick it up again until like a couple of years later. And I finally finished it, I think, last year. And I have to say, what I do like about the season, though, is the ending. I mean, I thought some people say that the ending could be interpreted as some sort of cop out, but I thought, even though it might be a cop out, I thought it was a really well executed cop out. In case, spoiler alert, I'm going to spoil it. Dandy just shoots up the entire place, and I thought that was just a really, really well done scene. I mean, yeah. But yeah, the villain, Dandy, I didn't really get into it. The villain of Twisty started out so good, and then we got into his backstory, and I just wasn't really, for some reason, I just, it was understandable, but I just kind of wanted Twisty to just be, a villain, and I wasn't really fond of his backstory. And then Dandy comes along, and I wasn't really fond of him. I didn't really take him seriously. I didn't find him scary at all, and I kind of found him annoying, to be honest. And yeah, and I thought this season just had too many characters, and it didn't really have as much going on as, let's say, Asylum did, but it just had so many characters, and the atmosphere was so colorful, and the tone was kind of made to be kind of theatrical, and I just wasn't really digging it. I just wanted it to be darker, and I wanted the tone to be darker. I didn't want all this, bright colors and all that stuff. The season just felt kind of very, I don't know, not glam horror-ish, just very theatrical, and kind of, how a movie would be portrayed, like how a movie from the 1950s would kind of, the tone of like a movie from that time period, just because, you can appreciate that it has sort of the tone from that period, but just because I appreciate it doesn't mean I have to like it. So, yeah. Moving on from Freak Show, in 5th place, I would have to say Hotel. Now, I did enjoy the season. As I said, 5 up are good seasons, in my opinion. Freak Show was the only one that I didn't really like. So, Hotel. I really did not like the premiere episode of Hotel. I just thought, this is basically the equivalent of a Lady Gaga music video. It felt very glam horror-ish, and I just thought, this was really bad. And it had kind of ridiculous dialogue, in my opinion, and I just didn't really dive into the characters that much. I mean, I started off the series liking basically 0 of the characters. All the characters in Hotel in the premiere bored me to death. Like, okay, there were just so many of them, and they all got very little screen time, and I just didn't really get attached to any of them in the first episode. But as the series went on, I thought it progressively got stronger and stronger as it went on, and I thought the finale was really good. But yeah, I was definitely not a fan of a few of the characters in Hotel, though. Let me see, Tristan and Finn Wittrock's characters. I wasn't really a fan of him in Freak Show, and I wasn't really a fan of him in this season either. So, don't get me wrong, I think he's a good actor. I just didn't really dig his characters that much. And especially the one in this show, like, Tristan, what really got me to, I wouldn't say I disliked him, I just think he was kind of boring. He's kind of hooked on the Countess's love, and he basically goes from like not wanting to shoot a girl when James March, one of my favorite characters actually, James March like hands him a gun and tells him to shoot the girl and tells him it'll be exhilarating and thrilling, and he just like backs up like, you're crazy, I don't want to kill anyone. And then like the next day he comes back, it's like, oh, you're right, killing is great. I just kind of found that kind of ridiculous. Like he had no adverse reaction to killing anybody when he refused to kill somebody the previous day, and that kind of got on my nerves. And his relationship with Dennis O'Hara's character, which I thought was also a very good character. I mean, the thing about Hotel is, I think this season has some of the show's strongest characters, but, there's only like a handful of them in there, and the rest of them I didn't really care for. Like Liz Taylor, Kathy Bates' character that she plays Iris, Lady Gaga I thought did a good job. The rest of them kind of they just weren't as strong as the characters that I just mentioned. I thought, those characters were some of the strongest in the entire show. And how can I forget Miss Evers in Mr. March? I liked Miss Evers, she was kind of a minor character there, but, I liked her better than a lot of the people who were in the title credits. Like, yeah. So, I think I've said all I had to say about Hotel. Let's dive into fourth place, which in my opinion is Coven. Okay, so, I like the season. I like it better than Hotel. Despite what a lot of people say about the season, I think it's kind of underrated. And yeah, I wish some of the storylines were a bit stronger, and I really wish they would have done something more creative with the whole idea of witches, because, what they did, I've basically seen many times before. It's like a combination of X-Men and Harry Potter, because, it's a school for witches, and, basically every other witch show on television. I just really wish they would have done something more creative. Like, when the season premiered and I watched a couple of the episodes, I drummed up a whole host of ideas of where this season can go. Oh my goodness, I'm cracking out my old fan fiction here. It's like, I had like a ton of ideas that were probably executed way better than what Coven has drummed up, but anyways, I did enjoy the season. I thought it was, it was definitely more lighthearted than the previous two that came before it. But, I thought the comedy was done really well. And I thought the characters were really good. Like, Fiona Good and, let me see. I forgot what Kathy Bates' character was named. I know she's based on a real historical figure. And I thought Angela Bassett was good. And even Dennis O'Hara, who couldn't really speak, I thought he was good. One thing that I did not like about the season, though, was the romance, or the little romance that went on between Kyle and Zoe. I think Evan Peters is sorely wasted in this season. He just basically walks around this lovesick puppy, this lovesick zombie, just like torn between Zoe and, I think I called her Chloe earlier, sorry if I did, Zoe and Madison, which is Emma Roberts' character. And yeah, I think he's just probably really underused this season. But anyway, yeah, it's very, very clear that they just did that they just shoehorned that little romance in for fan service. Like, it really served no purpose to the plot, and I just wasn't really a fan of it at all. It's very, very, it's pretty obvious that they just threw that in there to please fans because Tate and Violet were just so damn popular. But yeah, I wasn't really a fan of them. I thought, they met once at a party, and she thought he was nice, and she feels responsible because she brought him back to life. And there was just no build up to the relationship. Like, okay, you met a nice guy at a party, and there could have been something that further developed later on, but it just never really developed that much. I guess they're in love. I guess it's love at first sight for them. But yeah, that romance really was not done that well. And I really wish that that romance wasn't in there, because it was really boring. It didn't tank the whole season for me, but it was really boring. And also, what they did with the Axeman and pairing him with Fiona's character, I would have much rather have preferred him to be this kind of monsterish guy that wasn't really lovesick for Fiona. Um, yeah, I just thought I did have my few issues with this season, but overall I thought it was a very good season. It's in fourth place. I thought it was better than Hotel, which I already told you that I liked. And yeah, let's move on. In third place, this might surprise some of you. I know a lot of people don't like the season, but it has to be Roanoke for me. Now, this is the first season since Murder House that I actually watched the episodes ritually every single week. I stuck with it. Like, I didn't binge watch it on Netflix. I was excited. I was pumped for this season. This was like probably the first season I was pumped for since Coven, actually. Actually, since Freak Show. Freak Show was the giant disappointment. But yeah, this is the first season I've been pumped for since then. And they did the whole marketing thing like, oh, what's it about? 6 question mark. And it got me really excited. Like, the marketing was very effective for the season, and I thought it really worked. And when it premiered, I was really, really happy with it. I thought, okay, this is fresh, this is new, even though what I didn't really like about it was that they recycled the idea of ghosts once again. Like, they played with ghosts like 3 times this season. Like 3 times this series. This series basically revolves around ghosts and the ghost drama and whatever, ghost killing people. And I thought, and I heard that Ryan Murphy said, and I heard Ryan Murphy saying that this was originally his idea for season 1. I can totally see that because he reuses the idea of the nurses somewhat, and yeah, like the nurses and a few other things like the pig costume. You can totally tell that this was probably a rough draft of the first season, which is my gripe with this season. It just felt like it was a first draft of the first season, but I thought it was done really well. I thought, the mockumentary style was really effective, and when the season premiered, I thought I loved it. I was like, oh my goodness, they're actually really focusing on the horror element this time. Fantastic. And they didn't really get into much drama, which I kind of appreciated because the drama of last season didn't really captivate me, or the drama of Freak Show didn't really captivate me that much, and they were just focusing on the horror element of the show, which I really liked, and it actually kept me coming back for more. Like, after each episode of this season, I was left wanting more. I wanted to watch the next episode, but of course it wasn't on Netflix at the time, so I just so I'd have to wait like another week. And I actually made this little ritual. I'd like make a tuna sandwich before watching each episode. So yeah, this season was really, really fun. And the second half of the season was really, really good, in my opinion. I just thought, oh my god. I mean, like, the first half of the season kind of dragged a little bit. I like the premiere, but after that, the next, like, up until episode 5, it just kind of started to drag a little bit for me. Like, the story was a little bit more, like, overdone. Like, it's been overdone quite a bit. Like, the story of a haunted house and the haunted farmhouse. Just nothing really original about the episodes 2 to 4. I felt. And then episode 5 kicked in, and I thought that was really good. A great ending, and I thought, oh my goodness, what's going to happen next? Because they played up the whole twist thing. And overall, I think I was satisfied with the twist. Ryan Murphy, I think, really should have kept his mouth shut about that. Because then I think it would have made a greater impact, the twist. He made the twist out to be something that really didn't live up to. What am I saying? I'm sorry, I'm butchering my words kind of here. Like, I think Ryan Murphy kind of overhyped the twist that came in the 6th episode, but I think if he would have kept his mouth shut, I think he would have surprised everybody. And episodes 7, 8, and 9 were really fantastic, and I was left at the edge of my seat, and I thought this was the first season since like Murder House that I've been aching to see each and every episode that comes after it. Like where they go and what they do and who will survive. Because, ever since Murder House, each episode of the episodes of other seasons were, fine. They were good, but they didn't really leave me. Like, if I watched those on a weekly basis and not binge watch them on and didn't binge watch them on Netflix, I would have been like satisfied with the episode I got. I wouldn't like be aching for another episode. But with this season, I was like, yes, I want to see more. I want to watch more of the episodes and see where this goes. So yeah, I know this is kind of an unpopular opinion. I do have my few gripes about the season. I do have my few gripes about the season. For instance, the characters are kind of weak, and there's a lot of them. Like, again, there's like not really a central main character. I mean, I liked how it started off because it started off featuring very, very minimal characters, but in the second half of the season, there were just so many characters hogging the spotlight, and I just didn't really get into any of their characters. But I like the horror element and the mystery, and that was enough for me to like the season and rate it in third place. And another gripe I have with the season was the really weird finale. Like, okay, you're gonna tie up Priscilla's story with Lise, and that's how you're gonna end the season? Really? I just thought the finale could have been done so much better. And I really think it really should have ended it with episode 9, or they should have done something a lot better with the finale. Yeah. It just didn't really make much sense to me. And it's like you just wanted Priscilla to have a mom, and Celie killed herself so she can protect Priscilla from the butcher? Like, what? Okay, I guess. Next. In second place is Asylum. And after I watched season 1, it took me a while to watch season 2. I think I waited a couple of years before I watched season 2. I think I waited until season 2 finally came onto Netflix. And I thought, oh my god, this was so good. It was, but it didn't really captivate me the same way as first place did. Like, I wasn't aching after every episode to see another episode. Like, I thought, okay, if I watch this on a weekly basis, I'd be fine with just watching one episode at a time and then waiting the next week for another episode. But yeah, overall, I think this season kind of starts the tradition of adding a lot of characters and a lot of unnecessary storylines that I think could have been done better. But overall, I think this season was just really, really good. I think it's pretty much tied with Murder House, actually. Like, I think Murder House has a little bit more going for it, but this season, yeah, was amazing in my opinion. I love the characters. Lily Rabe does a very fantastic job as the sweet innocent nun gone evil. Jessica Lange does an excellent job as Sister Jude, and Arthur Arden is a really good character, and so on. So is Bloodyface. Let's talk about Bloodyface for a second. Leatherface ain't got nothing on him. Like, when I saw Leatherface for the first time, like at the very end of episode 1, I jumped back in my seat. I was like, oh my god, that guy is scary. Like, yes. That villain. If I saw that chase me down the hallway, I wouldn't even have the energy to run. I just immediately have a heart attack. It's yeah, very, very scary villain there. I think the scariest villain out of all of them, in my opinion, even scarier than Twisty the Clown. It's just his face. But yeah, once the mystery of Bloodyface is revealed and he is unmasked, it kind of takes away from it. Like, he's not that scary anymore, but just him as this sort of murderer, and plus the mystery surrounding him too, like the 2012 mystery, like they flash to modern day sometimes and show that Bloodyface is still active. That kind of threw me for a loop and was like, oh my goodness, this is interesting. Let's see what happens with this. So yeah, another gripe I have with the season is the whole aliens thing. I mean, it didn't bother me at all, but I just think it would have been much better if Kit, who was the one who was seeing the aliens, just sort of was kind of insane and kind of drummed them up in his head. I think they should have played it up like that instead of like, oh, the aliens are real, because that kind of just felt kind of out of place. Like, really? Aliens and demonic possession? Okay. But yeah, the demonic possession, I really think that was done well, especially in the atmosphere of the whole asylum, with it being a Catholic or no, not a Catholic, like a Christian run establishment, or yeah, Catholic Christian, one of those. I'm sorry, forgive me for that. The whole idea of sinning and that, you know, that dark atmosphere of a church, because, you know, a church can be horrifying, especially a church from a very, let's say, repressive time in history like the 1950s and 60s were. It could be very, very, it could be a very, very scary topic to delve into, like especially with concepts like evil nuns and mad scientists. Like this season just had it all, in my opinion. It was just so fantastic. It was so well done. You know, I didn't really care for the last 3 episodes. I think it was kind of more of an epilogue. And episode 10 just kind of like wrapped up so many of these grotesque and gruesome storylines, and then we only had a few storylines we focused on in the next 3 episodes. So I was like, how are they sustaining this? Like seriously, it just felt really dragged on. And the finale, in my opinion, well, I think while I look back on it, if I watched it now, I think I would like it more if I than I did when I watched it back then. So yeah, that's my opinion on Asylum. Next, number 1, my favorite is, no surprise, Murder House. So this season was, oh my god, I could watch the season over and over and over again, and it still makes me want to watch the next episode, even though I know what's gonna happen. Like back then when I was younger, I was like, I have never felt such anticipation for a TV show in my life. Like every time an episode ended, I never felt like, no, forgive me, rewind. Okay, let me say it again. Like every time an episode ended, I felt such giant anticipation for the next episode. I was just so addicted. It was like crack. Like if it were on Netflix back then when I was watching it, and I would probably just blow through it in an entire night. Like after an episode airs, I would just watch the next one and just binge the entire season in one night. I would probably do that and be very, very sad that it's over. Yeah, this episode, everything about this season, the storyline, I thought, you know, was really, I thought was really, really, I thought was basically like a masterpiece. The storyline was, the characters were really great. I think they were the most memorable characters out of the entire show. I thought they were really done well. They do have their problems. They're not perfect characters, which I really like about them. Like Violet sort of is this teenage emo girl with really nothing to complain about, but I think she has a lot of redeeming qualities to her. And I think that the way she is kind of emo is kind of like badass and cool in my opinion. Like she is the type of teenager that I wish I could be. Like if my parents weren't so strict. It's like, yeah, I think if my parents let me get away with such things that Violet gets away with, I think I would have been Violet. Or I wish I would have been a Violet wannabe. But yeah, and you know, the father, you know, he does have his flaws. Like he kind of acts like he's holier than thou, even though he's cheated, and he kind of acts like, you know, he deserves to be there, and he deserves to be forgiven, and he's entitled to have sex with his wife, which he's not. But other than those few quirks, I think he's a very well done and well rounded character. I found him very, very interesting. Like he loves his family. You can tell that, even though he made this giant mistake, he genuinely just loves his family and cares for his family so much. Even though he does kind of become a little neglectful of Violet later on in the season, but you can just tell he has this deep love for his family. And that really shows in the finale, which I thought was, you know, kind of weird, but it's still good. Anyway, Vivian, yeah, she kind of acts a little crazy and loopy, but you can tell that that's kind of intentional. Vivian, I think, is probably my least favorite character, but and not in the series, just in the season. I still think she's a good character, I just think she is my least favorite out of the whole Murder House clan, and I can't really pin on why. It's just, yeah, she didn't really get on my nerves or anything. It's just, if I had to choose my least favorite character from the season, it'd be Vivian. I thought, and the rest of the characters from the season are really, really good as well. Like Constance, I think, is one of my favorite characters out of the entire show. To be honest, I think she's probably the most memorable to me out of all of them in the entire series. I thought she was just so well done and so funny, and so, like, her past just intrigued me. Like, her story just intrigues me. Like, oh my gosh, what this poor woman had to go through in her life. She had a very difficult life, and then she became kind of this hardened shell, and there's, like, a lot between the surface with what's her name? I can't believe it. I forgot her. What's her name? Constance. Yes, that's right. I just said she's my favorite character, and I forgot her name. Anyway, yeah. I thought Constance was a really, really fantastically done character, and yeah, she was like crack. She drawed me into the show, and I just couldn't wait to have my little scenes with her. And they really humanized her character a lot with her daughter passing away. And I thought Addie again was a very, very nice character. A character that I really think should have been explored more was Constance's first husband, who she killed. You know, like, he's barely ever seen in the show. Like, he's obviously a ghost in the house because Hayden, like, has sex with him and then stabs him and then he just walks away. He's obviously a ghost in the house, but it's like he has really no bearing on the story whatsoever. And you only see him like twice in the show, I think, which is kind of weird. I would think it would have had some kind of effect on Tate and Beauregard, considering that their father is basically a ghost in the house. But I guess not. I guess Hugo's one of those ghosts who doesn't know that he's dead. But yeah, I just really wish they could have explored with him a little bit more. Because I know that actor is pretty good. I think they kind of wasted him a little bit with that. Yeah, and I thought the finale of the first season was kind of a little like they kind of ran out of good ideas a little bit. And they just had to tie it up some way. But I thought, the very last scene was very, very well done as well, with Constance discovering her dead babysitter and the baby that Vivian had. Killed it. Yeah. And I thought the storyline for the first season was the best out of all the seasons, in my opinion, too. I thought it was very, very brilliant. Like, this is a weird concept for a haunted house. I've never seen a haunted house movie or TV show do this before. Yeah, I thought it was really, really amazing. And this is probably this season is probably one of the best. If this season were its own show, I think this would probably be my favorite show out of all the shows I've watched. That's how good the season was. So, yeah. That is my ranking of all the seasons, and probably tomorrow or the next day I'll post my review of the Cult premiere. So, and after the Cult season has wrapped up, I'll probably do this ranking of the seasons all over again. I don't know if I'll necessarily review every single episode of Cult. Maybe I'll just review the premiere and the finale, but I don't know. So yeah. Thank you for watching through this. I know this is kind of long for, like a stupid ranking list video. But yeah. Anyways, thank you for watching this. If you didn't find me that annoying, you can subscribe or like this video or leave feedback. I would really love to hear from you. And yeah, let me know how you would rate the seasons in the comments below if whoever comes across this. Anyways, yeah, thank you for watching and see ya.